Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. UPND members suspect the KABWATA lawmaker has been assassinated. The PF directs presidential hopeful to suspend campaigns. Ballistic expert accused of killing NSAMA CHIPYOKA unaware of the bullet used. In international news, deadly floods in Egypt destroy homes and flush out deadly scorpions. And in sports, Buffaloes win inaugural Women's Super League with 3 games to spare. Join me with the details after this commercial.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
In other main news, in detail. Family of the late 33-year-old Adrian Banda of Kuku Compound, suspected of having been killed by police officers at Chilenje Police Station, have bemoaned the slow rate at which their case is receiving attention from relevant authorities. Father to the victim, Paul Banda, says he does not believe that his son was murdered by his fellow inmates as was alleged by police officers. He says he has written letters to the Police Command and the Human Rights Commissions requesting that the case be looked at, but that has not received any feedback. And mother to the victim, Manieta Banda, says the pain of losing her son in such a brutal condition has left her traumatized and wants to see to it that justice is served.
It is almost a month since a 33-year-old man of Lusaka's Kuku Compound, Adrian Banda, was murdered at Chilenje Police Station in Lusaka. According to the police, Mr. Banda was murdered by 3 persons he was within police custody, namely Augustine Katoti, age 22, Jeremiah Piri, age 19, and John Kakoma, age 19. Mother to one of the accused, Jeremiah Piri, however, denies that her son was behind the murder of Mr. Banda, as she lamented to this reporter that Mr. Banda, according to her son, was brought into the holding cells almost at his point of death by the police.
The 21 days at the end of my sales, then the Montoya Passamana, Mlandua Mada, Nenda, Jamana, Cambatino, Jamuntu in it, Ninamu, Nana Buena Chironda Baquendo. The father to the victim now says he is worried at the rate at which the case is receiving attention and says he has written to the Police Command, the Human Rights Commission and other relevant authorities to help investigate who killed his son.
Inspector General, Human Rights, Police Public Commission na ku division ku central kutiwa nithandizire pankhani chifukwa sini peza chene chimene chinapha mwana wanga chifukwa polisi amakana ngakhale kungenesa kanthambo kansapato maseuzi nanga mwana wanga anaphwanyika bwanji kumutu na mmendo chinamumenya nchani nanga baja wanthu kuti anampasa mlandu wa trespassing ali kuti apa pasaoneka.
And mother to Mr. Banda has for the first time spoken out about the death of her son and is pleading with the relevant authorities to help establish what really led to the death of her son.
Ninafunsa manja mu maseozi muri vinsimbe pakutuja munthu anachaiwa kumutu kundani kukhutu kunubwera umu manse umu munali mwaphwanyiwa pamene namusechinga mwana wanga nangazi kuti bwanji anakamba kuti tichita find out timuuzani mpaka na manje.
The family has since questioned why the police have not availed the family with a full report of what led to the death of Mr. Banda.
So report, postmortem report, inachoka chamene nilila. Yachoka sana nilangiza polisi. kuti apa panthu pali soso amayi yang'ananipo akuti ayi mulandu uyu yenda ku khoti manje yenda ku khoti na ndani
chifukwa tipongeno jamwana anapezo tikukamo kuli blood so blood inachoka kuti nanga mmasozi muli nsimbi pakuti ngati munthu angena mmasozi sapata machotsa ndalama mampoka everything vena vija munthu angena ja mmasozi manje nsimbi inachoka kuti then kuli report the final report imene is supposed to be at paseko ife but it's not parts from that time until now.
For now, the family only hopes that someone will pick up the case and help establish who killed their beloved. Prudence Tota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
KABWATA constituency member of parliament Levi Mukandawire has died following a fatal road traffic accident which occurred on the 18th of November 2021 at 12:45 hours at his residence along Chalata Road, Woodlands Extension. Police say involved was a Toyota first registration number which was driven by Mr. Levi Mukandawire, member of parliament for KABWATA constituency, aged 60, who sustained head injury, fractured right leg and died on the way to the University Teaching Hospital. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says also involved was a BMW X5 registration number ALM 5955 which had its front part extensively damaged whilst being driven by Jen Mwale, aged 39, of plot number 32 Chalata Road, Woodlands Extension, who sustained unknown injuries. On board the same vehicle was the husband to the driver, M. Kalengo Jeta Alik, aged 57, who complained of a headache whilst the driver was not found at the scene when officers visited it. But UPND members suspect that it could have been an assassination.
The death of United Party for National Development Member of Parliament Levi Mukandawire has left many people shocked. Mr. Mukandawire was first alleged to have died by unknown people on social media, and it was widely shared, but it was later verified to be misinformation whose motive remains a mystery.
There is a fake news that has circulated on social media. I want to confirm and affirm that Levi Mukandawire is alive.
Thursday afternoon, the country was treated to a sad news of his death in a fatal road traffic accident which occurred on the 18th of November 2021 at 12:45 hours at his residency along Chalata Road, Woodlands Extension. Zambia police spokesperson Ray Hamonga confirmed the incident.
On board of the same motor vehicle was the husband to the driver, Mayor Kalengo Jeta Alik, who complained of a headache whilst the driver was not found at the scene when officers visited it. The accident occurred when the second vehicle, a BMW, which was approaching from east towards west, was moving at an excessive speed, and in the process, the driver lost control of the vehicle before hitting into a stationary Toyota IST, whose driver had disembarked with a view of opening the gate. Due to the impact, it was forced to move forward, thereby squeezing the deceased against the wall fence, and the wall pillar of the fence fell on him. Investigations to establish the whereabouts of the driver have been instituted.
Parliament proceedings commenced with a moment of silence for the late lawmaker.
Honorable members, I will convey on your behalf the condolences of the House to the bereaved family in due course. May I now request the House to rise and observe a minute of silence in honor of the late honorable member.
We spoke to party members in KABWATA constituency.
It came from this side and literally aimed at the MP. When we checked the body after taking it to UTH mortuary, literally the head is crushed, the chest is crushed, and the right leg is literally in pieces.
But other UPND members believe it could have been an assassination.
meant that he should not survive. I don't want to believe that it was a mere accident, because what speed was the person? Well, he says the brakes failed. Why coincidentally should the brakes fail when Honorable Sandawira was opening the gate? No, I don't want to believe that, and I want the police to go to the bottom of this thing. If these policemen still belong to the PF, let them treat that man with kid gloves. But otherwise, no. I appeal to the police command. Let them take this matter very seriously. We are not safe. Our MPs are not safe.
But that is nothing but speculation, as police continue to investigate the matter. Politically, this means that Zambia will be treated to a by-election in a constituency which was tightly contested by big spenders during the August 12 general election. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Opposition United Progressive Party President Xavier Chishimba has charged that all officers working around the President of the Republic of Zambia should be investigated if anything suspicious happens. Addressing the media Thursday, Mr. Chishimba explains that no one is above the law and State House interference in the operation of the law enforcement agencies is a drawback to the fight against corruption. According to Mr. Chishimba, the UPND, while in opposition, spoke highly of relieving all corrupt public service workers. He's wondering why most of them are still in office, describing this as a mismatch in the promises made to the people by the now governing party.
Corruption accusations have always been at the lips of political leaders aspiring for power, with a dream to relieve all perceived corrupt individuals in the public service. But usually, soon after attaining the throne, the process becomes slow as many things come into play. For instance, the United Party for National Development, prior to the election, never missed a chance to say the public service is corrupt, but the slow pace at which the changes are being made at senior government level is seemingly becoming a mismatch to what people thought would be done. United Progressive Party President Xavier Chishimba Thursday took to the podium, addressing the nation through the media over what he termed as State House interference with investigative wins and failure by the head of state to relieve all those he called corrupt in the public service. According to Mr. Chishimba, interfering with law enforcement agencies slows the pace at which corruption is being fought.
Not above law. They are equally subject to investigations by these agencies. They are not above law. When you become a Home Affairs Minister, Minister of Interior, doesn't mean that you have become a police officer or a security officer and then you understand. You don't understand anything at all. So let us respect these bodies. This is the reason why in a country like South Africa, a sitting president was placed under investigations. The same is true for countries like Israel, USA, and other countries. Because these, their allegiance, as we said earlier, is to the Republic. Our information clearly shows selectivity in investigations. The so-called cosmetic investigations are clear acts of persecutions. If any citizen must face the law, let it be without State House control, because we've been there. We can't go back there. The nation needs progress. Strangely, there is a saga going on silently in which Zambian business owners are being harassed through the abuse of the state wings like the SCC Zambia Police. How many Chinese from AVIC?
Meanwhile, Mr. Chishimba also touched on the need for government to walk the talk, citing the issue of uniting the country as that which has received enough lip service.
Uniting the country is not about everyday rhetoric, it's about actions. Zambians must unite and hate all political leaders who practice practical tribal politics. Our country was founded on the creed One Zambia, One Nation. We are all one people, and we must unite for the sake of posterity, for the sake of our country, for the sake of the good of all. Therefore, tribalism has no place in the workplace or in the politics of our land. The Zambia Army, I turn to defense and security. The Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, Zambia Police, Zambia National Service, Prison Service, and the Zambia State Security Intelligence Service are the fulcrum on which our national security and territorial integrity rests.
The UPND administration is only slightly over 90 days in power, while the hopes for change in various sectors of the economy still remain high. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Opposition Democratic Party spokesperson Kuwisa Mwanawina has called on the Zambian police to quickly arrest the criminal activities that are seemingly on the rise as reported on various media platforms. Addressing the media Thursday, Mr. Mwanawina says reports about bus drivers attacking their passengers on public transport should be investigated by the law enforcement agencies and culprits brought to book. When contacted for a comment, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says while police has a mandate of protecting the citizens, members of the public should also take precaution when using public transport, especially in the night, such as noting down number plates for vehicles they hop in.
Early 2020 saw a spike of criminal activities increase, especially in densely populated areas. The gassing incident was at the hem of the criminality in a matter that has resulted in almost all the people who were suspected to be behind this being acquitted due to insufficient evidence. To date, the criminal that was used to spray people has not been known. Away from that, a new wave of criminality has emerged where unsuspected members of the public are using public transportation to attack people. Recently, a lady was raped by a bus driver. In regards to this, the Opposition Democratic Party spokesperson, Kuwisa Mwanawina, has called on the Zambian police to probe the high levels of criminal activities such as the gassing, raping and kidnapping that has continued to threaten people's peace countrywide.
And then secondly, we want to talk about the crime rate in this country. My brothers, my sisters, now we are very concerned about our relatives, what time they knock off, which bus are they getting into, where is the police? Where is the police? Because we are saying the lawlessness, what is the source? We have seen just pockets of people being arrested. That is not enough. Can we see more so that our peace, the peace that is so called that we enjoy, the fresh air, has so quickly gone away? But as DP we are saying, where is this coming from and how can it be nipped in the bud? And if it's not nipped in the bud, we will always say, where and how come, how far have we gone with the gassers?
Mr. Mwanawina has also questioned how far the police has gone with the gassing incidents investigation.
This is when you leave a case unattended to, and we appeal to you, the fourth estate. You need to begin to investigate and say, were people that gave us nightmares, that we were failing to move around, that we saw even the soldiers on the streets, where are those criminals? There is a new dawn government. Have they followed through on the gassers? Because now we are seeing people attacking people from buses, going to homes. Is this the peace that we talk about? But where is the source? The street kids that are on the roads, the cadres that have been pushed out, the government needs to take concern and find out the root cause. So we are appealing to government and the fourth estate to go further and find out. The things that are being published should not just make papers. Those are our brothers. Those are our sisters. That is you and I. Now I can't park a vehicle. I need to be going around it because there is a group of thieves that are making sure that they can keep me in one place.
Meanwhile, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says as soon as the police finishes investigating the gassing incidents, members of the public will be informed about the findings. Mr. Hamonga has also advised members of the public to be vigilant.
As regards to cases that we are investigating as police which have not reached a logical conclusion, the Inspector General of Police has made it very clear that all cases are going to be investigated. But we're not going to come on this fora to start divulging to an extent we've been jeopardizing our investigations of how far we have gone with cases. As soon as we finish with our investigations, we'll be able to get back to the public and inform them that the cases have been concluded in this way. Because the danger that we have is if we are going to start divulging where we are in terms of investigations, it might jeopardize our investigations. And we will just as divulge as much as possible as it will not jeopardize our investigations.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, the Patriotic Front Party has directed all party members eyeing for the party's presidential seat to suspend all forms of campaigns until the date for the General Conference is set. PF Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda has warned that disciplinary action will be taken against party members who will fail to comply with the directive. Mr. Nakachinda says party members should instead focus on dealing with issues that made the party lose the general elections, such as arrogance, cadreism and hooliganism, among other things. And Mr. Nakachinda says the fact that President Hakainde Hichilema has borrowed huge sums of money to develop 3 provinces perceived to be the UPND strongholds is an indication that he is a tribalist who wants to divide the country.
As the wrangles in the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, deepens, with some party members openly expressing interest in taking over the party leadership at its highest level, some members of the Central Committee are desperate to save the party and see to it that it becomes the first political party to bounce back into power after losing the general elections. PF Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda has urged party members aspiring to lead the party. He has since warned all party members campaigning for the presidential seat to stop, but instead focus on rebuilding the party.
We have the best insults and insulters, if there is such a word, within ourselves, other than providing checks and balances towards or against the ruling party. We have not rebooted or readjusted ourselves to nourish what the people really want. We must avoid washing dirty linen in public and exchanging sensitive information in the media and on social media.
Mr. Nakachinda has acknowledged that the PF ruling party was arrogant, hooliganistic, insolence, entertained cadreism, and indiscipline, among other things.
The members must take heed of Central Committee's directive to introspect and reflect and get rid of the things that made us lose power, such as hooliganism, cadreism, arrogance, insolence, indiscipline, among others. Failure to heed, we are creating a recipe for chaos and anarchy within the party.
On the other hand, Mr. Nakachinda has accused President Hichilema of being tribal in his appointments and the fact that he has borrowed huge sums of money to develop perceived UPND strongholds.
Continued to peddle tribal and regional politics. Even their budget is regional in nature. The Minister of Finance went to borrow millions of dollars and came confident on the floor of the House to come and tell us this money we have borrowed, we're going to develop Southern, Western and Northwestern province. What a shame. How can you have everything tilted towards achieving regional politics?
The question that one perhaps may ask is, will the Patriotic Front Party ever bounce back into power? Prudence Tota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development Alliance Media Director Thabo Kawana says the Patriotic Front should be the last party to call President Hakainde Hichilema a tribalist. Reacting to the sentiments made by PF Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda, Mr. Kawana says the revelation of the Ministry of Local Government Gary Nkombo to Parliament Wednesday that Southern, Western and Northwestern Province have received less road infrastructure is a clear indication that the Patriotic Front was a tribal party. He says the PF should stop politics of finger-pointing but offer credible checks and balances which are evidence-based.
Our colleagues in the opposition, especially the Patriotic Front, that this government has not borrowed money to develop Northwestern, Southern and Western Province. What the Minister of Finance stated and did so very clearly was that he got some money, he borrowed some money to build schools in Northwestern, in Western and Southern. And these are areas that were neglected by the PF government, and that is why, in an effort to bring equity and pulling the nation together, they needed to ensure that they also build schools in these areas. He also talks about the president's appointment and claiming that the appointments are tribal. We want to say to them that the PF, really, you don't expect anything from them apart from tribal sentiments, because that is all they see. All they see are tribal appointments. But the question we must ask ourselves as a nation is, why does PF see only tribal issues in everything? That is because they were a tribal cocoon. They were a political party that spent time making appointments on tribal lines, and therefore they feel that everything else this new Dawn government is doing is equally tribal as they did. We want to educate them that this is not tribal.
Republican President Hakainde Hichilema says there has been a concentration of tender processes in Lusaka neglecting other parts of the country, which has led to the damage in the economy. President Hichilema says government has come up with a deliberate process that will see to it that resources are channeled from Lusaka to other parts of the country. The president, who was speaking at the official opening of the Zambia Association of Manufacturing Conference in Lusaka, has since challenged the Zambia Association of Manufacturers ZAM to come up with a checklist of what exhibits the growth of the manufacturing sector and their businesses. The head of state says the local manufacturing sector plays an important role in the economic transformation. The Lusaka City Council employee at Intercity Bus Terminus Station has lamented the political interference in the operations of the station, citing the purported United Party for National Development cadres threatening their job security. The said officer, who pleaded anonymity, tipped off Camnet TV Thursday, alleging the UPND party cadre presence in the station posed fear among council officials, especially those who were employed during the Patriotic Front regime. He explains that most council workers at the station are expected to undergo employment contract review in February 2022, which he wonders if they will be renewed considering the political interference. However, Lusaka Town Clerk Alex Mwanza has clarified that renewal of contracts of all council workers will be based on merit performance and not on political lines. Meanwhile, UPND Party Secretary General Batuke Imenda has refuted the allegations.
He is one of the Lusaka City Council employees at Lusaka Intercity Bus Terminus Station who feels the working environment at the station has continued to be influenced by political forces. He pleaded anonymity due to the pressing information that he had to deliver. This man is alleging that some purported UPND cadres are interfering in the operations at the station by threatening some workers that their contracts will not be renewed come February 2022. This is due to the fact that most of these workers were employed during the previous regime under the Patriotic Front.
When someone just passes who is not a council worker who comes and tells you the party family there is an interference.
When I never did that to me once. Makadazi abana. Makadazi yapi?
UPND.
Okay.
Even in Abantu, just a mere person who are covered in Kobo. Unless I'm going to months more. No money she talked to Kobo ya pata makaya kusambuwe wa emotions. Kwambo kumshauti. Nishalea fumiaku.
Yeah, what I know is like, if you can't believe me, come February. I guess because they're targeting because around February they are doing so. So I'm a contract every from February they are being targeted. Now I'm to finish the Umrando of Fatawi. Are you hiring to PF? Nobody ever engaged to me. Wengi kwa sababu mshuo kulanda tetibalani. Warefu ila mkati. Tetibalani. Okay. Paruwa. I think this thing it has to reach abakalamba so that eventually solution area. Because you know it's not easy for umuntu walusenjito. Number wadia abakalusenjito. Ama families yabo tayaba affected. However,
this is not the case with Lusaka Town Clerk Alex Mwanza.
Those who have been threatened should report to my office. So far, I haven't received any reports of officers being threatened or interfered with in their day-to-day operations. there's none at all. Because as you may be aware, the policy now is to, as much as possible, if there's anyone interfering, the policy is that we should move in, just as council using our council police and state police to address the situation. There's a criteria that we use for evaluating the performance of an employee. So that, and it's quite inclusive, because it starts with the supervisor, the employee itself is involved in the evaluation process, and the set targets, which inform the decision as to whether one's contract should be renewed or not. There's no deliberate decision to terminate anyone's contract.
Meanwhile, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda has refuted allegations saying since the incoming of the New Dawn government, interference of operations in public institutions has never been condoned.
We are not aware because our position is clear. There's no one who should be at the station. It's very clear. It's that clear. That is a presidential decree. It's not mine. It's a presidential decree. The position of the president, which everyone knows, is very clear. If you committed a crime in the past, you will be put to task for those crimes when they are proven. And then one thing that should not forget is that if ever there are people who were employed illegally, some cadres, because we are aware that you must put that these are now my words, that we are aware that there are people who found themselves in the employment of the council illegally. Those we are aware. That we are aware. And if those are the people that are being referred to, then after thorough investigations, their contract may not be renewed on the basis of illegal employment. But then the action will be taken by rightful authorities. Take that statement. Action will not be taken by anyone outside the authority. It will be taken by rightful authorities.
The affected, however, hopes for investigation in this matter to secure their job regardless of their political affiliation. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. For now, we'll take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
Spirit of infirmity never had a legal right in here anymore because she was healed in her soul. He also took care of that accusation in the court where he said, I loose you, and that means to acquit someone of a crime.
Why does he say, be strong and be courageous, Bamutale? Number one, you've got to be strong. You've got to be courageous when claiming the things that belong to you.
If you're up against principalities and powers, en contra de principados, and Satan is knocking you around, y el enemigo te está dando contra ti, put praise on in your car. Pon alabanza. Put praise on.
So we must learn to depend on the Holy Spirit to tell us what these things are and what's the next thing and what the church ought to be doing rather than conform to everything that is going on.
He says you're blessed. He says flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father.
He will preach the gospel with great power and influence, I say, even to the nations of the earth. And I began to prophesy his destiny. As I did that, the Spirit of the Lord said, now rebuke the spirit of depression.
The mystery of your unfulfilled prophecy is found in what I'm saying today if you hear what the Spirit is saying, because the King is speaking.
That everything that God has given you will flourish because you have his mind like never before in Jesus' mighty precious name.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Rusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Rusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. British High Commissioner to Zambia Nicholas Woolley has underscored the need for a unified approach to wildlife conservation if Zambia is to realize positive anti-poaching results. He said at the COP26 summit earlier this month, the UK PM launched a new biodiversity landscape fund which will provide €100 million over several years across 6 of the world's most precious ecosystem, including right here in Kafue National Park and the wider Kaza region. He was speaking this morning when he graced the special pass-out parade for the Combined Forces anti-poaching training at Chunga Training School in the Kafue National Park this morning. Meanwhile, Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba has said the number of well-trained officers to effectively protect of Zambia's wildlife is inadequate. Department of National Parks and Wildlife Director Dr. Chuma Simkonda says there is need for a statutory instrument to actualize the national anti-poaching task for it to be effective.
Effectively through various initiatives such as this training which we are witnessing today. The government is aware that the industry is constrained in terms of government, in terms of human resource rather, to protect the wildlife and habitat considering the vastness of the protected areas. Therefore, training and recruitment is very important to us as we are giving the attention that
and that means working with communities to ensure resources are managed and that they are equitably benefit. The parks and protected areas and spaces can be rejuvenated, but this requires the right partnerships and the right expertise, and local communities need to see the value as well.
The equipment, training without the equipment that you need in order to carry out your services, the training itself comes to nothing if the team is not equipped. We cry out to you, sir, that one of the cardinal things, even after training, that we cry for is that we need equipment so that these soldiers that have been trained should be put to good use, the skills are put to good use.
A consortium of civil society organizations has reminded the government to adopt the mixed member electoral system in order to accommodate marginalized groups in parliament. The mixed member electoral system coalition comprises of the Zambia National Women's Lobby, the Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations, and the Center for Young Leaders in Africa. The coalition is also recommending that in addition to the 167 Member of Parliament, 50 party list seats be guaranteed by legislation and 10 reserved seats for candidates with disability, bringing the total number of MPs to 227.
Persons with disabilities and youths remain marginalized in Zambia. The story of exclusion is as common as politics, even if they do not adequately participate in the electoral process, but it remains their desire to participate.
We noticed for a long time that in governance we lack people with disability. You will find most of them are able-bodied. But it would be really good if people with disabilities are included into governance, into decision making, which will really affect our great nation. So it would be nice if people with such sorts are included in the governance of this country.
A consortium of civil society organizations has reminded the government and stakeholders to back cause on the need to adopt the mixed member electoral system in order to accommodate marginalized groups in parliament. The mixed member electoral system coalition comprises the Zambia National Women's Lobby, the Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations, and the Center for Young Leaders in Africa. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka Thursday on behalf of the coalition is Meshek Mutamba, the Zafford Programs Manager.
Which is a model of the electoral system that we feel would bring about meaningful inclusion of the marginalized groups in governance. Okay, now governance means having access to decision making, and having access to decision making is as good as having access to resources, because then we are saying all the different groups of citizens will be at the decision making table and deciding how the resources of the country should be shared, ensuring that we leave no one behind. For as long as these marginalized groups do not have access to the decision-making table, they will continue to be marginalized. They will have no access to resources, and their livelihoods will continue to be poor. So this is the whole gist, and we feel that the mixed member electoral system is not a political subject. It's a subject of human development. It's a subject that concerns every citizen, whether we have a disability or not, whether we are a woman or not, whether we are youth or not. The development of our country should be inclusive.
They are recommending that in addition to 167 members of parliament, 50 party list seats be guaranteed by legislation and 10 reserved seats for candidates with disabilities, bringing the total number of MPs to 227.
That's why we are advocating for the mixed member electoral system, because we have recognized that we have systematic barriers that hinder young people from participating in our electoral processes. We have been also implementing a program called Political Party Participation of Young People in Political Parties in Africa, PIPA, which has trained over 100 youths from across political parties, empowering them with various skills to ensure that they are able to participate from an informed perspective.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Center for Constitutionalism and Legal Justice has hailed President Hakainde Hichilema for appointing Mumba Malila as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia. Center Director Isaac Mwanza says Justice Mumba Malila State Council is among the oldest serving member of the Supreme Court bench, who joined the Supreme Court bench much earlier than even the current acting Chief Justice. Mr. Mwanza tells Camnet News that the appointment of Justice Malila is a rare expression of appointment on merits on the part of President Hichilema, in which he recognizes and rewards experience. He says once Justice Malila is ratified and sworn in, he expects him to promote effective and efficient delivery of justice and strive to rise above any personal interest to defend the rights and liberties of all Zambians. Mr. Mwanza anticipates Justice Malila to defend the independence of the judiciary and build the capacity of existing courts rather than get the temptation to create more parallel courts.
This shows that this appointment has been done based on merit and based on experience. It is very good to see the president choosing experience over political expedience. He could have picked any other person, his colleagues, his friends, those that represented him in other cases for Chief Justice, because they all had the qualifications. But he had to look at the Supreme Court itself. Which judge has served longer on the bench, that they have a wealth of experience to talk about. And so it is very good to see that that decision has been made by the president, and we support it. We can only call upon State Counsel Malila to ensure that he puts his house in order. There is need for reforms at the judiciary. There is need to ensure that there is timely and efficient delivery of judgments. All these issues that have been pending, I think he needs to deal with them. But also he must avoid a situation where he's constantly on social media trying to air some political views, political bias one against the other. As the chief judge now of the judiciary, he needs to be seen as being impartial, so that when people go before him, they will not look at him using the political lens because of the postings that he usually makes on social media. The same applies to other judges. They need to avoid social media as much as possible to avoid being seen to be biased.
The Constitutional Court has reserved judgment in the matter in which governance activist Isaac Mwanza is seeking an interpretation on whether a person can legally be appointed to an office of minister and perform ministerial function after dissolution of Parliament and before its commencement. When the matter came up for hearing Thursday morning before 5 Constitutional Court judges, Mr. Mwanza argued that the issue raised in his petition relates to constitutional questions with important policy implications. He submitted that the court has a duty to completely interpret as it has done in previous matters, thereby serving as a guide on the efficiency and legitimate enforcement of the said provision. Mr. Mwanza further seeks an interpretation from the court on whether a person can legally be appointed to head a ministry established and/or merge and perform the function of the office before approved by the National Assembly.
The Constitutional Court on Thursday morning reserved judgment on a petition filed by governance activist Isaac Mwanza, which seeks an interpretation on whether a nominated member of parliament can resume ministerial duties before Parliament ratification. After hearing close to 3 hours of argument dominated by Mr. Mwanza that the petition raises constitutional questions with important policy implications, the court said it will communicate the date to which it will deliver its judgment.
We tried. The time was very limited.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, very limited.
Yeah.
It helps to also make some written submissions to reply because the time is limited.
Yeah.
Mr. Mwanza wants the court to give an interpretation of Article 81 and to state whether a person appointed to the office of minister can perform ministerial functions before the opening of Parliament, citing the appointment of Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotwane. He also wants the court to state whether it is legal for the president or any other appointing authority to terminate employment of public officers without just cause and due processes, citing Article 173 of the Constitution. Mr. Mwanza is also seeking clarity on whether the president can institute, create or abolish a public office without recommendation of the relevant Services Commission. When the matter came up for hearing this morning before 5 Constitutional Court judges, Mr. Mwanza argued that the court has a duty to completely interpret as it has done in previous matters, thereby serving as a guide in the efficient and legitimate enforcement of the said provision. He also submitted that he is not denying the fact that the President has the executive powers to appoint and to dismiss those in civil service, but that should be done within the confines of the Constitution. However, the state has also argued that a person appointed by the Republican President can perform the function of minister even before such a person takes a parliamentary oath, citing Article 116(1) of the Constitution as the authority. Hence urging the court to dismiss this petition with cost. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, a ballistic expert, Daniel Banda, has told the Lusaka High Court that he is not very certain that the bullet which allegedly killed State Prosecutor NSAMA CHIPYOKA is the same one that hit UPND sympathizer Joseph Kaunda. This is in a case in which Constable Fanuel Nyundu is facing 2 counts of murder for allegedly shooting dead a National Prosecutions Authority prosecutor CHIPYOKA and UPND sympathizer Kaunda last year in December. When the matter came up for cross-examination before Justice Joshua Banda, defense lawyer Willis Mohanga asked Mr. Banda if he was doubtful that the same bullet which shot Mr. NSAMA is the same one which hit Mr. Kaunda. Mr. Banda, who is also an assistant superintendent, had previously told the court in his examination in chief that a single bullet is alleged to have killed both victims.
On the 10th of November 2021, a half-packed court had chilling testimony from a ballistic expert, Daniel Banda, that a single bullet killed the State Prosecutor NSAMA CHIPYOKA and the UPND sympathizer Joseph Kaunda on the 23rd of December 2021. During the opening of trial, Mr. Banda, who is also an assistant superintendent at Police Force Headquarters in the Forensic Department, said that according to his investigations, the bullet that existed Mr. CHIPYOKA was the same one that entered Mr. Kaunda and killed him as well. He had further testified that he was convinced that the exhibit of the gun before court was discharged from the gun bearing serial number EN2650 and that both the victims sustained wounds which were in both shape and the wounds were open wounds. This is in a matter in which Fanuel Nyundu, a police constable, is facing 2 counts of murder. Nyundu is alleged to have shot dead Mr. CHIPYOKA, a state prosecutor, and Mr. Kaunda, UPND sympathizer, near the Cabinet office on the 23rd of December 2020, when President Hakainde Hichilema, then UPND leader, had appeared before the police headquarters for questioning over a land in Kalomo in Southern Province. The 2 were killed in the process when police officers were trying to dispense sympathizers who had gone to offer their solidarity to President Hakainde Hichilema. However, when the matter resumed for cross-examination Thursday morning, the defense lawyer questioned Mr. Banda if he was doubtful that the same bullet which shot Mr. CHIPYOKA is the same one which hit Mr. Kaunda. The witness responded in affirmative. And when questioned if he knew the speed at which the bullet entered Mr. CHIPYOKA, the witness said no. Hearing of the case continues before the Lusaka High Court. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former State House Press aide Amos Chanda has given Prime TV a 5-day ultimatum to apologize and pay him 5 million kwacha as damages for airing a news item which alleged that he was a fraudster. According to a demand letter, Mr. Chanda, through legal representative Lusenga Mlongoti, advocates state that on the 31st of October 2021, Prime TV aired a news clip which featured Ms. Cholwe Shisholeka, also known as Presence Komesha, who alleged that he had illegally acquired graveyard land in Kachengel village and displaced about 5 villagers. He states that the station headlined the said news clip as Amos Chanda named inland illegality. Mr. Chanda states that the said words were defamatory, ridicule, contempt and embarrassment, as the said words meant he was an imposter, a fraudster and a cheater. Mr. Chanda says if the station refuses or neglects to attend to his demand within 5 days, he shall issue a court process against the station and Miss CHIPYOKA. Well, we get into our second set of commercials. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the... She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
This is the Rusitu irrigation project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Rusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Rusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Now getting into our international item. In the southern region of Egypt, locals in the Aswan province are still counting losses from the floods that took place last weekend. 4 people were later reported dead and over 500 were hospitalized after suffering scorpion stings due to the floods. Some of the families said they lost everything from the flood incidents. In other news, Several countries across Europe are struggling with a new wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Numbers of infections and deaths are rising, especially in Russia, Germany and the UK. Here's a roundup of international news.
In the southern region of Egypt, locals in the Aswan province are still counting losses from the floods that took place last weekend. 4 people were reported dead and over 500 hospitalized after suffering scorpion stings due to the floods. Some of the families say they lost everything from the flood incident. There are many things buried under the mud, such as my bed, my hair conditioning, and all my things now under the mud. The Egyptian Ministry of Health said 4 people died when their homes collapsed in the rain and hailstorms. A total of 106 houses were washed away and more than 300 partially damaged, according to area mayor. The floods comes from the mountainous area of Western Desert to the village, which is the lowest area here, destroying the houses as all of them were built out of mud. The rain crushed the houses and flattened them. Nearly 60 houses were destroyed. We have more than 300 displaced. We are still counting, and the numbers may actually increase. The whole area disappeared in the water. A similar incident occurred in the winter season of 2020, when heavy rains led to severe floods, killing over 20 people in the same region.
Burkina Faso President Roch-Marc Kabore had sharp words for his country's military after a deadly insurgent attack on a security forces camp close to the border with Mali. While concluding a cabinet meeting on Wednesday, Kabore was furious at what he called dysfunctions at a significant level. 49 gendarmes and 4 civilians were killed in the attack on a base in Inata on Sunday.
Alarm bells are ringing across Europe. Once again, it's at the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, even before winter fully takes hold. In Germany's oldest Christmas market in Dresden, traders wonder if the virus will once again steal the festive season and their profits.
At the moment, I think the problem is that the traders feel a bit abandoned. We don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to open? Are the rules going to be changed? And yes, on sleepless nights we think about the goods that are ordered. No one gives any information about what is going to happen and when.
Germany's 4th wave is raging, presenting an early emergency for the parties that form the next governing coalition. The outgoing chancellor issued this dire warning.
The current pandemic situation in Germany is dramatic. I can't say it any other way. The 4th wave is hitting our country with full force.
The 4th wave has tightened its grip on neighbouring Belgium. In response, the government is extending the use of face masks and again making more people work from home.
The first observation is that the alarm signals are flashing red. We see that we have a very high number of infections in our country. We also see that the number of beds occupied in intensive care has doubled in a week, and that we have crossed the red line with 500 beds occupied.
In the Czech Republic, where daily new infections are hitting new records, proposed government restrictions on the unvaccinated have triggered protests by large, unmasked crowds in Prague.
The situation is truly dramatic. I am again asking everyone to get vaccinated. It really is selfish. These people who don't get vaccinated and end up in hospitals are endangering healthcare for other citizens.
A fear keenly felt in many parts of Europe, where people are bracing for another winter of uncertainty. Priyanka Gupta, Al Jazeera.
We now get into your sports story. Green Buffaloes Women Football Club have won the inaugural edition of the FAS Women's Super League in scintillating style after humbling Kano Queens 5-0 in their Week 24 fixture at the Green Square Ground in Lusaka. Informed striker Teresa Chewe struck a hat-trick after goals from captain Joanna Wanea in the 8th minute and Natasha Nangwengwe 14th minute later to see off the league with 3 games left to play. Chewe, who now has 27 goals, opened her account from the penalty spot in the 25th minute, and she made it 4 for the Army sponsor side in the 47th minute before she completed her hat-trick, her 4th of the season, in the 73rd minute. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines. UPND members suspect the KABWATA lawmaker has been assassinated. The PF directs presidential hopeful to suspend campaigns. Ballistic expert accused of killing CHIPYOKA unaware of the bullet used. And in international news, deadly floods in Egypt to destroy homes and flush out deadly scorpions. And in sports, Buffaloes win inaugural Women's Super League with 3 games to spare. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of 1 John 4 verse 7 to 8, and it reads, "Dear friends, let us love one another, because love is from God, and everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. The one who does not love does not know God, because God is love." Thank you for joining me. Pleasant viewing.